All right. Hello, Monty, and Merry Christmas. Welcome to episode 1 of my video series, video tutorials on how to play the guitar. You've been mentioning you need a new hobby, looking for something to, learn and put your mind and effort towards. You mentioned you want to learn how to play the guitar, and this is me forcing you to do that. You are now obliged to learn it at least a little bit because I'm making these videos. So obligation via guilt, you must now start learning the guitar. You're welcome. Merry Christmas. But this is my first episode. My first episode video, so I want to do disclaimers, tips and tricks that I've learned, and this is all coming from amateur to beginner. So since I just started learning maybe a little over a year, about a year, a little over a year now, but about that time. So amateur to beginner, so it's fresh on my mind, so I can give you some advice on things I wish I did or things I hated. So I'm going to do disclaimers, tips, and tricks in this first one. No guitar yet. This is my foreword. So let's start with the disclaimer first. I think that the guitar can be incredibly frustrating at first, which is not super encouraging, but I think it's nice to acknowledge that it's going to be frustrating, and you got to be patient with it, and you got to take your time because your fingers don't do what you want them to do. You're missing your notes, or it sounds weird, it doesn't sound like the song or the video, and that's normal. It takes time to be able to actually start playing stuff. It could take weeks, a month before you can actually really even play a song smoothly. You can do like Hot Cross Buns or Happy Birthday, but you can learn like chords to a song, but then your fingers still don't really know what they're doing in between. So bump and you wait a minute. So it takes time to learn it, but you just gotta be patient with it because what it really is you gotta train your fingers over time to learn where they're going, and you gotta build the muscles over time, and to strengthen your hand to be able to hit the chords and memorize what they're doing. And at first it feels like, oh, I can't do this. This is so weird. It feels alien, but it comes over time, and they learn what to do, and it becomes like second nature. Like I still can't I've never been able to do the Spock thing, but I can do my chord shapes. So it comes with time. It's like you just gotta be patient with it. Like you can't go in a room and do 40 push-ups and then come out looking like The Rock. You gotta put in the time, put in the work. It's kind of like the French horn. I bet if I gave you a mouthpiece right now, you could still make your embouchure and buzz in it, but you couldn't do that at first. You had to train it and build it over time to get that beautiful French horn tone. My final disclaimer would be to pace yourself, because if you overplay it, it really starts to hurt your fingers. It can be painful. I don't know if you can see, but I've got some calluses on the end of my fingers over here. So just pace yourself 10 to 15 minutes a day at first, because it is a little bit rough on the fingers. So that's my disclaimer. I know it sounded really negative at first, and I don't mean to be discouraging, but it does require a lot of patience getting into it and starting. But here's my final disclaimer. Once you do get into it, it becomes addicting. Every time I pass it, just sitting there, I just want to play it. I'm addicted to it, and you just want to learn more and more and more. So that's the final disclaimer. Begin at your own risk, because you will just want to keep learning it more and more and playing it all the time. So let's move on to my tips and tricks. 10 to 15 minutes a day is really all you need at the beginning, just to start learning and getting used to it and building it up. Just sit down for 10 minutes and strum along, play along. I would recommend just doing it while you're like watching, I don't know if you're watching TV at all, or if you're watching TV alone, just play it, or listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video. Those are two good things too, just do that. Sunday night football, Monday night football, Thursday night football. Whenever I'm watching football by myself, pretty much, I will just be sitting on the couch playing the guitar. And it's like totally mindless. I'm not even really thinking about it. But it keeps me, engaged, and like I can spend more time on it because I'm not just like, you don't get as bored really. And I know if you're watching like a movie or something, you're gonna get on Instagram Reels anyways. So you might as well just play the guitar instead for maximum brain stimulation and brain rotting. I would say you should learn good technique now so you don't have to relearn it later, because that just is so annoying. I started off just basically flying blind, and I didn't really look up any YouTube videos or like watch like TikToks or anything on it. I just started like trying to do it myself with like an app and like looking up songs on Google. And then eventually, like a month or two into it, I watched a YouTube video and he's like, don't do X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z are what I taught myself. So I had to unlearn it and then relearn the right way, and that was annoying. But now it's much better because the way I was doing it sucked. So not much of a, didn't revolutionize guitar playing at all there. Next tip, I would say there's a lot of, at first, annoying things that you don't want to do at first on the guitar, such as using your pinky, or playing a bar chord, or tuning it down a step. And I would say don't avoid it like the plague, because, I mean, eventually, again, kind of like the technique thing, you're gonna have to learn it eventually. So you might as well throw it in every once in a while. Like, I'll get into what bar chords are, whatever, but I mean, just play one or two every time you sit down, and then go on. When you're first starting, you should find songs that you like and like you actually listen to learn. That's super important, I think, because if you're just like looking up like random songs that you've never heard before and you don't even like, and they're not like, it's not as fun and it doesn't make you want to keep going. So I would not do that. I would find songs. I know a lot of the music you listen to might not be acoustic guitar oriented, but I'm sure you can find something that you like that you can play, and that is pretty simple. That makes it a lot more fun and makes it easier to get into it and want to play. And while I say that, I would also say like you should throw in some drills. It's like when you're making like chicken and rice or like pasta and you're like, oh, I guess I'll microwave my green beans too. Like, you don't really want to, but you know you should, and you know it's good for you. So I would throw in like a drill or two, just like 30-second drill for like, and I'll go over some later in maybe episode 2, but I would throw them in, maybe like a warm-up. Just do like a warm-up, have a warm-up routine. Every time you sit down that takes like a minute, and then go from there. And then start getting into the songs that you like. So, yep. I would say, personally, you do not need to know all the advanced music theory gabagool at first. Like, all the crazy, like the C minor pentatonic. Like, I have never even once looked at that, and it's fine. You can learn songs without all that baloney. And then I would say final tip, there's a lot of different ways you can play one song. If you look up how to play it, you'll get 100 different results on like a popular song. So when you're first starting, if you don't like, if it's maybe too challenging or it just doesn't sound right to you, just find a different way to play it. Like there's 100,000 bajillion different ways to play every song and like all the notes and stuff. So. And it doesn't have to sound exactly like the studio recording. Like, just play it the way you like. Like, you're not on stage performing for anyone yet. Who knows? So, that's pretty much all my tips and tricks I can think of really right now. Let me buckle down, learn songs you like, and use the pinky. This guy is the slowest learner, and he gets a lot of neglect. So show him some love, show the pinky some love, use the pink. That's always good for progress, because eventually, the problem I ran into is when I started, I would avoid bar chords, avoid using my pinky, or maybe more difficult techniques, and then I'd look up a song like, oh, I really want to learn this song, and then I look it up, and then it's just like a lot of pinky or a lot of bar chords, and instead of learning that or building on that and starting to learn it, I would go, guess I can't play this one. That's not fun. So there's something I forgot, is when you're playing, or you're first playing, you're going to want to look at what you're doing all the time. And you should look and make sure you're getting your stuff right, but you want to limit how much you can look. Kind of like, imagine you were playing in the dark. You want you to play by ear and let your ears kind of guide you, because you can't look at what your right hand's doing and your left hand is doing at the same time. So you're going to need to be able to, I kind of like thinking about creating a mental map of where you are on the guitar, because eventually you'll be able to slide up from the 2nd fret to the 7th fret just based on muscle memory, and because you have that map in your head of where you are. And I think that's a really important to learn, and I think it helps you play a lot smoother, and you can play more complicated stuff when your fingers just know where they are without having to look. So don't become too reliant on looking at it, and start building that mental map as early as you can, and it's helpful. Trust me. That's going to conclude episode 1. Again, Merry Christmas. Smash that like button, subscribe for more, and we'll catch you on the next one. Rush Nation out.